Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Therapy Podcast. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since 96, and I am feeling very, very smug tonight. Oh, yes, I am. And I'll tell you why, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Arsenal fans listening to this all over the world. Because that's right, I have checked the statistics. We do have listeners from people from countries all over the world. And for you, for the Arsenal fan who is listening right now, I want you to rejoice with me. I want you to raise a glass and say cheers to Arteta's men. Because they're not boys anymore. No. We can't call them boys anymore. How dare we? They are men. They have been inaugurated. That's right. Absolutely scintillating performance. Oh my God, I can't contain myself. This is going to be a fiery episode. And look, there's no need for therapy. We're not naming this the Arsenal Therapy Podcast anymore. We're calling this the Mikel Arteta Masterclass Podcast. Bloody hell, what a performance. Let me get into it before I start rambling on, because I'm in such a good mood. I'm joined here today with two of my favorite gooners in the whole entire world. And I'm not saying that because I'm in a good mood. No, that's partly the reason why, but partly also because it's true. I got Anthony from the Republic of Arsenal all the way from Ireland, a massive gooner, a massive pleasure to have him here. And Gooner Souls, that's right, Mystic Souls as they like to call him. You can find him on Twitter at Let's Debate Footy. Both of them Arsenal content creators. Both of them have channels of their own. Go show them love. We're obviously going to get into it. In fact, no, I'm going to let them introduce themselves now. We're going to do things differently this episode. Anthony, thank you so much for coming on and sharing this moment with me. Please give a brief introduction of who you are, what the hell has happened this afternoon, and where they can find you.
I am right now a very, very, very ecstatic Arsenal fan. That's who I am right now. I'm a smug, happy man right now. Yeah, as you said, Farhan, we know each other quite well, and all three of us. Now, look, I couldn't think of a more fitting podcast to appear on other than the Arsenal Therapy Podcast, because after some of the, how would I put it? Some of the absolute dog shit we had to listen to last night, you know, I felt like I definitely needed a dose of therapy having to listen to some of the claims, some of the smug comments, some of the absolute verbal diarrhea that was being spewed last night. Now, in hindsight now, looking back, it's most certainly not the three of us that I think need therapy, having heard a lot of those claims. But yeah, look, hey, it's a beautiful day. It's a beautiful day to be an Arsenal fan. What can I say? But yeah, look, in terms of who I am and where you can find me, yeah, my name is Anthony. As you can probably guess, I'm an Irish gooner. You can probably tell by the funny accent. Yeah, and as always, an absolute pleasure to be here. You can find me at the Republic of Arsenal, and look, the feeling is mutual. Farhan and Souls, most definitely two of my best friends on this Arsenal journey, this whole YouTube, Twitter thing we have going on. Definitely two of the coolest, most down-to-earth gooners. And look, I could think of nobody better to share this moment with right now than you two guys.
Wow, absolutely. I mean, like I said, I don't know if I'm gonna be extra friendly because I'm just in a good mood. It's like, when I wouldn't know, but you guys would know. You Irish, you like to drink, and you have a drink, and you're feeling all jolly and happy. That's exactly how I feel right now. I just love you guys. Love you guys more than I've ever loved you. We've also got Souls as well. Souls, listen, you joined me for a preview earlier on in the day. We spoke about how Arsenal needed to set up. We gave our predicted team lineup, and I think we absolutely smashed it. So listen, thank you for joining me then, and thanks for joining me now. Really appreciate the time you've taken out. And yeah, let the people know, man. Let the people know what's going on.
Hey, they don't call me Mystic Souls for no reason. I said to you guys, do not worry. We are getting this W. I told you, sleep tight, sleep well, because there's nothing but a W coming home. And that's exactly what we did. Happy Gilmore, where were you, mate? Harry Kane, I thought you were meant to be good. Where were you? David Luiz, Sideshow Bob, right? What happened? Best attack in the Premier League? I didn't see any of that. I mean, they must be smoking some good stuff over there, people, because I did not see any of that today. The same people they criticize. Can I just say before this ends, right? Granit Xhaka, that's what we want to see, my guy. None of what we've seen. Granit Xhaka, please, more of that. Yeah, because that's the player we signed. And you know what? Man, you can tell I'm happy. You can tell, there's going to be a lot of noise complaints because, you know what? I am over the bloody moon. I was so confident we were going to get the win. Look, we didn't do it pretty. We did it the Arsenal way. We made it hard for ourselves. A 2-1 win. It doesn't reflect it. We absolutely dominated. And you know what? In terms of who I am, I'm Guna Souls at Let's Debate Footy. You can find all the optimism, because Arteta got it right.
I can only echo those words. He absolutely got it right. And we're going to get right into all of the good stuff. We're going to talk about the game. We're going to talk about the build-up. We're going to talk about why this victory means so much. Because going into this game, this was a massive test for the boys. Probably the biggest. It definitely felt like, for me, the biggest test for Arteta and for these boys. Because the criticism that Arteta has been under of late, the criticism that these bunch of boys have been under of late, I was expecting to see a game, maybe a little bit of a scrappy affair with two teams with problems, two oppositions with a strong attacking force, but a very, very weak and a shaky defense. I didn't see any of that today, and I think I'm quite flabbergasted, and I'm in a sense of shock as to how well we play. I mean, let's get one thing straight. This wasn't just a win. This was an annihilation. And I'm not saying that because I'm an Arsenal fan and we beat Spurs. We didn't just beat them. We schooled them. We absolutely schooled them. Arteta had every single one of their players on toast. So much so that one of their players, one of their substitutes, got sent off. That's how rattled he was. And obviously, we're going to get right into it. We're gonna talk about why it was that Arteta's men were so good. But let's talk about the starting 11 first, because I didn't expect Odegaard and Emil Smith-Rowe to start. That wasn't even a consideration. Out of all the different combination that you could have put together, whether it be Willian, Emil Smith-Rowe and Saka, or Aubameyang, Odegaard and Willian, I didn't imagine Arteta to go this bold. So I'll start with you, Anthony. Give us your reaction to when you saw the starting lineup being released.
Yeah, as I said before, I'm trying to reserve the judgment now. When the lineup was released, I'm trying to just look at it and kind of go, okay, I'm gonna bite my tongue here. If I'm feeling something, I'm just gonna hold off. I'm not gonna say too much. I'm gonna give them a chance and just see how it plays out. I did put out on Twitter though that my thoughts, looking at the lineup, possibly with Martinelli aside, because he wasn't in the squad at all, possibly aside from Martinelli, I don't think anybody really could have complained with that team, because it sort of included all the players that we see everyone calling for every single week when they're not included. We've got Cedric instead of Bellerin. Everybody loves Gabriel. Gabriel was in the team. Thomas Partey was in the team. Smith-Rowe, everyone loves Smith-Rowe. He was back again. Odegaard, after his absolute thunderbolt of a goal against Olympiacos. And then you had Lacazette, and a lot of people were calling for Lacazette to be included and saying, look, Aubameyang's not doing it, so he should sit it out. And I know the reasons around Aubameyang sitting it out were different reasons. I presume he probably would have played But there was talk of, I think, did he show up late? And then there was talk of he was out at a party and whatever. So, yeah, look, I don't think anybody could have had any complaints looking at that team. And for once, Twitter was actually very, very quiet on my end anyway. I didn't see an awful lot of talk. And maybe people are starting to kind of take the same view that we would have. You know, when we kind of say, look, maybe let's reserve the judgment. Let's see how it plays out. I had absolutely no complaints. Absolutely no complaints. Yeah, there was one or two that I sort of said, okay. I wasn't fully sure on how fit Emile Smith-Rowe was going to be coming into the game. And the reason why I was concerned is because I presumed it was going to be a game that was going to require a lot of intensity, you know, a fiery derby. You know, was the kid going to be, no doubt he has all the talent, but was he going to have the fitness to be able to keep up with the pace and intensity of a game like that? And again, at that, I expected Spurs were going to be a lot more physical than they actually were. They were pretty tame and timid, if I'm being completely honest, for the most part. Yeah, there was a couple of, you know, little afters, you know, of Højbjerg and Harry Kane leaving the shoulder in here and there. But other than that, it was a fairly timid affair from Spurs in that sense. I thought Arsenal were a lot more fired up, if I'm being honest. But yeah, look, going back to the starting lineup again. No Aubameyang, but I have faith in Lacazette. You know, I like what Lacazette offers to the team. I like the idea of, you know, Odegaard, Smith-Rowe playing off of Lacazette. Aubameyang, don't get me wrong, he's our captain. You know, last season he was, and probably the season before, and he's been our best player. He's our top goal scorer. Look, you can't not like the guy, but yeah, I would be happy enough if he had to miss out a couple of games. I'm more than happy for Lacazette to come in. I just think he does a different job. So I could have absolutely no complaints. Maybe I expected Pepe might get a run out, but as I said, I was happy. I was happy. I couldn't really fault anything. And like I said, look, I'm definitely adopting a new approach of let's just wait and see. Let's just wait and see how it plays out. So they were my initial feelings.
I think you're absolutely right. I mean, there isn't much of a, there isn't a bigger reactionary fan base than the Arsenal fan base, and I think in the last few months, Arteta has warranted the patience from the fan base. To be patient, to give him time, to not judge the starting 11 so quickly. And one of the beautiful things about Arsenal squad, Sol's made the point earlier today when we did our preview, is that there are so many players to pick from. There are so many different combinations, and they all work really, really well. It's not like Tottenham starting lineup where they have to play one way, where they have to pick one strong. They've only one strong squad selection. Souls. We obviously spoke about the game before obviously at lunchtime at midday. We gave our starting 11. We didn't predict Odegaard and Emile Smith-Rowe to play together. Having said that, we did pretty much guess the rest of the team lineup. So, I mean, what was your reaction, especially having seen Aubameyang not start as well? I know you'd be pretty happy. You were pretty happy about that.
Yeah, I'm not happy because, you know, the form that he's on, or to criticize him. I just think that his mentality is out of the game. I don't think, for whatever reason, we don't know. It could be personal issues. It could be anything. You know, but for the past few weeks, I've always been ride or die for Aubameyang. And when it gets to a point, you do have to call it out as well. As a fan, you know, you have to be fair. You know, if you're calling other players out, you've got to do the same, even if he is your favourite. And his mentality's been off. Like, you know, what he tweeted after the Burnley game, when you looked at the Olympiacos game, I was like, you know what, if this is how he wants to play, you simply can't be bringing passengers in a game with such a fine margin. No, look, we dominated them, but we could only get 2 goals. You know, that's how fine it was. It was a 1-goal win. And it took a penalty to get that. I'm not saying that means we played poorly, but that's the fine. If Aubameyang was there and the way he's been playing and the way he's been moving around the ball, around the pitch without the ball, has been atrocious. to say the least. He hasn't tried to get himself in games, and that's the difference today. Lacazette wanted the ball. He was demanding to be a part of the game. And when I looked at that lineup, and I've said this to people, trust him because he knows better than us. The system is not the issue. The players are not consistent enough. And I don't want to bring the negatives in because today we did what we said. Me and Fahad had the conversation. We needed to dominate the possession. We needed to control the game for the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes and bide our chances. And that's exactly what they did. When it was right to attack, that's when they attacked. Otherwise, they recycled possession, went backwards, and they took their time. They bided the space. They tried to play a more controlled game. They tried to play with more intensity, but with more purpose. Every time we had the possession, it meant something. Every pass meant something. It meant towards going to goal. And that's the effectiveness of the way we play. Some people are going to look at that as negative football or not progressing or why is there no urgency? But you know what I'll always say to them people as well? Some of the great managers play this way. And the managers that they're calling for play this way. So when they have an issue with it and they're saying, we're playing a bit boring, we don't have the urgency, well, you're not going to like any manager in modern day football because that's how they all pretty much play. You have to play what they say negative, but I define that differently. I watch a lot of tiki-taka football. I watch a lot of pressing football in terms of Barcelona being, a very close team to me. And that's how they play. That's how they dominate games. It's not negativity. It's not, lack of urgency. It's biding your time, controlling games, especially games with such fine margins. It's a North London derby. You can't just go gun-ho. You can't play into their hands. What we did so bad at White Hart Lane was we played into their hands. We wanted to attack them, exposed ourselves at the back. And that's one thing today Arteta did bang on. And one player that did that even better today, and I don't think a lot of people are going to give him credit, was Granit Xhaka. Granit Xhaka was a commander in that team today. He cleaned up absolutely everything. And I said it at the first half, I think he's having a very good game. And some people said, yeah, he's been all right. But I think he was brilliant today. Arguably one of very close contenders, or even in my opinion, one of the man of the matches today, because he did everything we want him to do. What we wanted that player to take control, be dominant, insert yourself. And guess what? He didn't lose his head. There was that Lamela incident. He didn't lose his head. He stayed cool. And that is why I'm telling people, if you want, give this man time. Stop looking at the fact we're 10th. Stop looking at the fact that we're losing games. Try and look at the result. Try and look at the result and the performance. Today, we could have lost. But it doesn't mean we played shit. And you can say Arteta's at fault for this. Because we had the game plan. Me and Farhan said, this is what we need to do. And what Arteta did was exactly how we explained you beat Tottenham. You have to let them come to you. And how do you do that? You have to play backwards sometimes. You have to pass around. And then when the chance is open, David Luiz was brilliant. And Xhaka had some absolutely brilliant forward passes today. Just cutting out Reguilon and then cutting out, Matt Doherty as well out of the game. He literally puts the ball over past both their winger, the winger and the wing back, to put the wingers in terms of Smith-Rowe or whether it be Tierney. That's how we created so many chances. And like all season, we were unable to convert a lot of them. But today, that did not affect us because we still won the game 2-1.
Yes, we did. Indeed, we did win the game 2-1. And maybe, look, the results wasn't a fair reflection of the performance, because the performance was brilliant, almost perfect at times. Look, the starting 11 for me was fantastic. It was brilliant. It was so refreshing. I was afraid that he was going to play Aubameyang, and I was afraid that Aubameyang was going to isolate himself from the game. I was very happy that Lacazette played. Having said that, I think Lacazette let himself down at times in the game. I don't want to get all negative and stuff, but it just goes to show that we need someone to play up front who is a complete striker. There was a hatful of opportunities, not a hatful, I say there's a couple of opportunities for Lacazette to make something happen in the box. But all in all, with the likes of Saka on the right-hand side and Emile Smith-Rowe on the left-hand side with Odegaard in the middle, those three were immense. You didn't need Lacazette. You only needed a body to just sit where Lacazette was. in order to, fill a position in. But those three alone caused all the issues. Tierney, I mean, I mentioned it in the preview. You don't need to teach the boy about derby, about passion, about desire. He left everything on the pitch. He left absolutely everything on the pitch. Today, he was brilliant. He was immense. He was one of my man in the match. I couldn't pick one out of, there's like possible five. Cedric is another one. I mean, I don't think people give him as much credit as he deserved. For the first half, he was absolutely amazing. So I was really happy to see Cedric, and obviously Gabriel and Luiz. Now, the problem with Luiz is you don't know what Luiz you're going to get. It's the same thing with Arsenal. You don't really know what Arsenal you're going to get. So when David Luiz showed up and when he started performing well, everything was A-OK. So, starting 11, great. Having a really strong bench as well. We had Willian on the bench, Aubameyang on the bench, Pepe on the bench as well. No Martinelli, but, obviously we don't need to talk about Martinelli today because we won the game. Ultimately, if we had lost the game, it might have been a different discussion, but we don't need to. We can worry about that for Thursday. I'm fairly confident that Arteta will rotate quite a bit for Thursday, and we'll talk about Thursday right at the end of this. But Anthony, first half, right? I don't know about you, but I assumed that Arsenal would start quite cautiously, and they would try and suss out what Tottenham were going to do or what their approach to the game was. This was always going to be battle of the tacticians. Who can tactically outsmart the other? Arteta against Jose Mourinho. Mourinho is infamous to set his teams up perfectly against us and beat us not at our own game, but beat us quite regularly because he knows how to play against us. So when Arsenal started off the game, and they started off quite brightly, they started off with dominating possession, passing the ball around, looking really comfortable and confident. And you have to say that Tottenham sat back, and it seemed as if their game plan was to sit back and was to invite us until they could hit us on the counter-attack. I don't know if you guys remember yesterday, I said that it would be bold, but it could pay off if Arteta played a high line. And what happened today in the first half? He played a high line. He played a high line specifically to get Bale and Son out of the game. I also said that in order to get Bale and Son out of the game, you need to man-mark them. Cedric did it absolutely perfectly. He put Son out of the game, even made him pull his hamstring. Bale did absolutely nothing, was man-marked by Tierney all game long. So, Anthony, talk to me about the first sort of 15, 20, 25 minutes before Son pulls his hammy. How did you think Arsenal did? How did you think they did during that 25, 30 minute spell? And what were you expecting before the kickoff?
I was really, really pleasantly surprised by how we started. I thought within the first 5-6 minutes, I could feel I was saying to myself, like, you know what, Arsenal are on it today. Like, we are switched on. We want this today. The first 25 minutes, honestly, I was thinking to myself, did Tottenham think that they were at home today? Are they waiting for us down at White Hart Lane? Because there's only one team in this stadium right now, and they're wearing a red shirt. Honestly, I was actually amazed because we kind of expected that Mourinho was probably going to set up his team to kind of absorb and soak up some of the early pressure, and then, as you said, hit us on the counter. I think within the first 10-15 minutes, I think Tottenham had a bit of a rude awakening, and they kind of said, hang on, this is going to be a little bit tougher than maybe we anticipated. It was all out assault from Arsenal the first 25 minutes. Like that, you had Kieran Tierney, he had Matt Doherty on roller skates for most of the game. I think Spurs looked a bit shell-shocked, if I'm being completely honest. But yeah, it was very, very encouraging. My only concern was Arsenal, when they do have these periods of play like that, we often fail to take our opportunities, and that was in the back of my mind. I said I am encouraged, but I'm a little bit cautious as well, a little bit concerned, because for all the good possession, for all the good play, we didn't really, outside of that Smith-Rowe opportunity, we weren't really creating an awful lot. We were, we looked good on the ball. We looked confident. We looked good in possession. We weren't really giving a lot away. So in a sense, we were being a little bit cautious ourselves, but kind of cautious in possession. It's just, this whole lack of killer instinct that seems to keep on rearing its ugly head whenever we play. As we've spoken about in the past, you'd have another opportunity, or you'd have another side who, if given the same opportunity we were given the first 25 minutes, would have taken advantage of it. We just, for whatever reason, we just don't seem to be able to kind of pull the trigger when it needs to be pulled. And the longer and longer it goes on, the more you do feel, okay, the other side is gonna, they're gonna eventually have to pick it up here. Arsenal, to be fair, the intensity was great for the first 25 minutes. You knew they weren't going to sustain that for a full 45. Look, nobody's going to be able to do that. So we do kind of see this. It's kind of creeping into the Premier League in most games you watch, where I don't know whether this is down to, everything that's gone on with COVID, lack of pre-season, or it's a tactical thing. You sort of see it's nearly like a game of chess. Like, a team is almost, given their first 10, 15 minutes, and it's kind of a case of, okay, look, this is your spell, do with it what you can, because we're going to have our spell of 10, 15 minutes. And if you haven't capitalized on it, we have our chance. And that's exactly what happened. And actually, I just see big shout out to Pat in the chat. And Pat, in fairness, he's not gone hiding. Pat is one of the Spurs fans from the channel last night. So look, fair play to Pat. He hasn't gone into hiding. So yeah, big respect. But like I said, look, it's starting to feel like Groundhog Day with Arsenal when it comes to this. We get our spell of dominance. We're failing to make it count. And as I said many, many times in the past, overall, look, we are what we are. We're not the greatest side in the world. We need to start taking these opportunities, or we need to start looking at something different, whether that be a different formation, something else in the attacking third. I just don't know. We seem to be doing well. We're getting the ball into the final third. We still look a bit lost when we get there. And we kind of resort back to this, cross, nobody in the middle. And it was feeling a little bit like the previous encounter between the sides. Spurs got themselves 2-0 up and kind of said, okay, we let them have the possession. I think we had 70% possession by the end of the first meeting. And we crossed the ball over and over and over again to the big lumps in the Tottenham, centre half area. It looked like this was going to be the case again. So that was the only thing in the back of my mind. I sort of said, look, they're going to absorb the pressure. They're going to kind of, in a sense, put us in a corner. We're going to play out wide. They seemed happy enough to let us, go down the wings and play our game, swing the ball in without any threat. Because let's be fair, look, Lacazette, he is what he is. For his size and stature, he does okay in the air, but he's never gonna be scoring headers today with guys like Alderweireld and Davinson Sanchez and that. So yeah, that was definitely a concern. This revert back to swing the ball in. Other than that though, I was feeling pretty confident. It was just a case of, if we can keep our heads, if we can kind of keep up the intensity, we will dictate what happens here. And I did say it, I did put out on Twitter, I said, look, this game is Arsenal's to win or lose. It's about the attitude that we keep for this game. Now, again, I didn't expect us to sustain that kind of intensity for the whole game or even for the whole first half. Cautiously impressed with how we were doing. But yeah, we did know Arsenal were eventually going to give up some opportunities, which we did. And you can see the difference. I think that was Spurs' first shot on goal when they put the ball in the back of our net. And again, this is Arsenal all over. We've got to be more clinical. Now, look, this could be something for maybe the end of the podcast, or it could be a different podcast altogether. But I think going forward, we've got to start looking at our striking options. Now, whether that be the guy that starts, or whether it's something a little bit different that comes off the bench, or whatever it is, I think something needs to change. We're kind of hitting the right buttons, but we're just kind of not finishing off, the move kind of thing. I'm impressed with how we are, maintaining the play. I'm impressed with how we built up the play. I was very impressed with our intensity. And as you said, Farhan, the high line we played, I think the exact words last night that were used were you're going to play a high line against Bale, Kane, Son, and Lucas Moura. You're mad. You need to change your medication. But hey, look again, who's going to be taking medication tonight? I don't think it's going to be us. But yeah, look, basically my kind of first half assessment, the first 25 minutes, aside from scoring a goal, I thought we were pretty flawless, and I was very, very encouraged. And to be completely honest, I haven't been that encouraged in the North London derby in a long, long time. So I felt good. And I did say, look, Arsenal will control this today in a few senses. Like it's going to be down to Arsenal to decide what way this game is going to end. If we want it, we will push through. If we keep up the intensity and we keep playing the way we played in the first 25, 30 minutes, this game is here for us. If we don't and we drop off, we're going to be in trouble. But yeah, luckily we kept our cool somewhat. Again, I'm sure we touched on this at the end of the game, but we somewhat kept our cool.
Yeah, you make some really, really good points. And I think Arsenal were actually quite unlucky today. In the last few games, I get quite frustrated with Arsenal with the amount of opportunities that we create and with the amount of times that we get into the final third. I think today we were a lot more slicker and we were a lot more attractive to watch in the final third, more comfortable as well. And that was really shocking for me. I didn't understand why Spurs were sitting back so much. I didn't understand why they were giving us so much space, so much freedom to play the football. Now, that could be the case that they let us, or it could be the case that we were so good that they didn't know what to do, because there were times in that first 25 minutes where they were shaky at the back. Lloris was making all sorts of different approaches to trying to get the ball out up the field. There was that where the second goal that we scored was completely down to a mistake from him. And in the first half, a couple of times as well, just indecisiveness from him. But look, we were unfortunate in the first 25 minutes because there were opportunities that could have went our way. I mean, you look at the Emil Smith-Rowe shot, for instance, a great shot, great technique, a beautiful hits the bar. So unfortunate. Lloris is beaten from that sort of range. And it just shows the confidence that we were playing. Now, something that I like to do is I like to keep like a 10-minute journal on Twitter, so I can remind myself what happened during the game, because I've got a memory of goldfish. So in the first 10 minutes, I wrote down that Arsenal started the game off very dominantly. Spurs look a bit afraid. They're sitting off, allowing Arsenal to press forward. We're looking very silky, confident. And something that I noticed instantly is how good Cedric was. Cedric was unbelievable in the first 25 minutes, because not only was he getting Son out of the game, not only was he man marking him and making sure that nothing got past him, but his ability to run down that right hand side and do effectively what Bellerin does really well, which is run down, get the ball and feed it into the box, was really, really impressive. And in the second 10 minutes, obviously the Emil Smith-Rowe opportunity where he hits the bar and then Son limps off after pulling his hamstring. So something that I realized when Son pulled his hamstring, obviously he got replaced for Lamela. But I don't know if you guys noticed, but the intensity died off a little bit. Arsenal pulled their foot off the gas a little bit, and it was almost a mentality thing. It was almost as if the boys were preparing for a tough battle against Son, and now that Son's been cancelled out of the game, almost as if in the last 25 minutes when they got the red card, it was as if, right, boys, Son's out of the game. We can afford to relax a little bit, and that led to their goal, because they only got a 5 to 10 minute spell in that first half where they were dominant, and they they made good use out of it because they scored a goal from it. But how did you see Arsenal's performance dip a little bit, or did you see it dip a little bit after Son came off?
Yeah, I do think obviously when Son came off, look, he's an instrumental player to the way they play. But I said it before, and I'll say it again. If you can take Kane out of the game, nothing will happen. Because he is basically what makes their attack tick. And if you can, however you do it, however you mark him out the game, whether you just keep him quiet, that's what's going to be very key to stopping them. Now, when Son came off, of course, you've got to be very cautious because Lamela isn't a bad player by any stretch of the imagination. He might be a filthy human being. He might be a filthy player, just like the rest of them, even Kane. No one wants to talk about it, but what he did to Gabriel, how on earth was that not checked by VAR? How on earth is nobody talking about it? Sky didn't mention it. Do you know why? Because he's the English golden boy, isn't he? You can't talk bad against him. That's what they resorted to because they couldn't handle us. Saka as well. Every opportunity they got, kicked him, fouled him, tried to put him to the floor. That led to his injury. Of course, it's going to damage your muscles and it's going to damage your leg a little bit when you're constantly getting kicked around. Now, in terms of the mentality drop, I think that was always coming. I think even when Son was on the pitch or not, because you have to be very cautious. We know, look, they only had, 5, maybe 10 minutes of real, attacking prowess, and it led to a goal. You've got to be very cautious of this stuff. And the way that we were playing, we were trying to command the game. We were trying to suss what Mourinho wanted to do because Mourinho could have played one of two ways. He could have sat back or he could have attacked. We knew that they were literally the only two ways they could play. They can't play possession football. They can't play, very intricate tactical football. So when I looked at that whole scenario, I knew that when Lamela comes on, because they were going to put Dele Alli on originally, he was warming up to come on, but then they changed their mind to put Lamela on, which meant that they were going to change their approach to the game. So I think what Arteta's told the lads to do is just calm it down a bit and just take your time. Let's see what he's told Lamela to do and what he's telling them with this change, because the approach has to change. It's like if we lose, for example, Saka, or if we lost Smith-Rowe or Odegaard, we'd have to slowly change our approach, especially when it's an unexpected change due to an injury. You do then have to change your game plan a little bit earlier. And I think Arteta was trying to micromanage the game very well when he's seen that change come on, because Lamela isn't a Son. The thing with Lamela is I do think he's quite threatening. I was a bit like, shit, this could be dangerous. Like this, it got me on a bit of edge. Like that was the first time I felt on edge, and it wasn't wrong. My feelings and my gut instinct weren't wrong because he went and scored. But I didn't at any point feel like we were going to lose that game. I felt this is our game. We're playing it to our level. This is us to win it. This is us to lose it. And it did make me think like, oh my God, again, we could have buried this game off. We could have been 2 goals up. We could have been, 3 goals up even. But I'd expect at least one of those chances to go in. And then obviously at the right time, Odegaard goes and gets his goal. And obviously that's my sort of overall evaluation, even on the Son moment. And I think you had to change your mentality.
Yes, absolutely. It was very much a game of mentality, and we saw both extremes. Arsenal's positive mentality in the first half and most part of the second half, and the other extreme of the mentality, the poor mentality, sloppiness, laziness, overconfidence in the other half. I want to talk about a few things that I noticed in the first half, and we'll conclude the first half and move on to the second half. But when I was watching the game, what I usually do is I talk to myself. I'm a bit of a weirdo. I talk to myself when I watch the game, and I was often shouting at the TV screen, right? Relax, boys, relax, calm down, regroup. Because one of the things that I've noticed about Arsenal is they pass it around, they look really good, they look really comfortable, really silky passing, and then they make a mistake because they're so comfortable. And today I saw something different. Today I saw a mature side to Arsenal, a side that was passing the ball around, but they were very aware when to do the right thing at the right time. And so as you mentioned it, and you know, it was really, really good after we conceded the goal. And apparently, according to Jamie Redknapp, it's one of the best goals that he's ever seen in the Premier League. He needs to be watching a lot more football than that then, if he thinks that. But granted, it was a good goal. You know, I'll put it there. It was a good goal. It was a good bit of Tottenham play. A darting ball coming diagonally from Bale. You know, passed it down first time from Reguilon, touched it down by Mora, and then he gets a bit of luck with the Rabona. It goes through Partey's legs, and you know, it's 1-0. It's their first opportunity. And one of the things that we have previously seen about Arsenal is heads tend to drop. And for the first 5-10 minutes after conceding a goal, we're very shaky. We're very unsure of ourselves. And for the first 2 minutes, we were a little bit shaken. We were a little bit unsure of ourselves. But then we quickly picked it up again and we quickly regained dominance. It was almost as if, like, right, boys, we've been here before. We're 1-0 down. It's fine. We're going to maintain our game plan. And one thing I realized about Tottenham is that they didn't have a game plan. For Tottenham fans to be bragging about having a manager like Jose Mourinho is frankly embarrassing. Because there was no approach to that game. They had no clear system or approach in trying to break us down, in trying to... I mean, I don't know whether it was Jose Mourinho's tactic to sit back and invite pressure. But if that was the case, it failed massively because... we did so well to get a goal just before halftime, and we all know the significance of getting a goal just before halftime. Psychologically, it does the world for a team. But even before that, Lacazette should have scored in the box. He had an opportunity which went wide, and then another great ball comes in from Emil Smith-Rowe, and he leaves it, he dummies it, and then Cedric comes flying out of nowhere, hits the post, and you're thinking, my God, is there going to be one of those days where we're going to just hit the bar 3 or 4 times? But look, you know, the constant pressure of getting the ball in that final third, and I'll tell you what wasn't working. What wasn't working is Arsenal love to put balls in the box, but they always put the wrong balls in the box.
Yeah.
And the one time that they get the right ball in the box, we get a goal from it. The balls that don't work is balls that go over the top. Is balls that are deep. Because Lacazette isn't a physically dominant person in the box who can muscle out muscle Odegaard or Sanchez. You know, he's a bit of a what's the word I'm thinking of? He's a bit of a... I can't think of the right word, but he's a bit of a lucky individual, a lucky striker in the box where, you know, jammy, that's the word. He's a bit of a jammy striker because he's not overly dominant, but he has a good enough body shape where he can wriggle off certain defenders trying to get the best out of him. He's like a worm. He can wriggle himself out of difficult situations. But balls over the top weren't working for us. We could see that. And I tweeted out, you know, what the hell's going on? It's beautiful seeing Arsenal create all these opportunities. But when these balls are coming in, it doesn't come to anything. And the one ball that came in, a beautiful ball from Kieran Tierney, Odegaard again on the score sheet. We have to talk about this guy. You know, if he scores one more goal, if he scores another goal in the next Premier League game or in the Europa League, we're gonna have to talk about signing this guy on a permanent deal because he has made such a massive difference to that number 10 role. And I wanted Emil Smith-Rowe there, but I think the job that Odegaard did was far better than anything I would have wanted. Silky touches, movement off and on the ball. For me, if you had to pick a man of the match, I think it will be between him and Tierney, maybe even Xhaka, maybe even Cedric. Like I said, I got 5, but he's definitely up there. Really, really good. And he took the goal well. He got a bit of luck, but 1-1. And going into halftime, I'm just thinking to myself, we are in this game to win. There is no way we're coming out in the second half on the back foot. Anthony, how did you the first 10-15 minutes of the second half, how did you review that? Because the way that I saw it, Arsenal were continuing on from where they left off from, but Tottenham seemed to come out of the block a little bit. It seemed as if that they wanted the upper hand of the game, but they couldn't. Tell us how you saw it.
Yeah, look, what a time to get an equaliser, first of all. And as you kind of alluded to, it was one of those where even when we were a goal down, it never really felt as though, okay, this is game over. And we felt that a good few times in the past. Like, being honest, when we went a goal down against Spurs the last time, that kind of felt like, oh, here we go. This is game over now. This could get embarrassing. This game, I just, it had a different aura about it. It just had a complete different feeling. I was, as I said earlier, I had the kind of usual, cautious kind of feeling that just kind of comes natural with an Arsenal performance. I know a stat came up about, I think it was in this fixture, 27 times previous when a team has taken the lead, they've gone on to lose. And my initial feeling was, this is going to be number 28, 100%. And then I'd seen that in 20 games where Spurs had taken the lead against Arsenal, they'd only gone on to win 6 of them. So that's 14 times that they let it go. And again, I felt this is definitely number 15. And the players seemed to share that confidence and the sentiment that I think we were all feeling. So yeah, an amazing time to get the equaliser, and it was just unfortunate that it wasn't maybe an extra 5 minutes or so earlier, because I think we could have pushed on and maybe got a second one just before the break. But I definitely think our halftime team talk was going to be pretty positive anyway, because we did play well, and again we just kind of let ourselves down for those couple of moments where we stepped off the gas and we allowed them into the game. But I think Mikel would have basically told them, look, just go back out there and do exactly what you were doing for those first 25 minutes, half an hour, and this game is yours. You will get your opportunities. Just keep knocking on the door. You will get your chances. So to be expected, look, we hit them right before halftime. So it was to be expected that they were going to come out, out of the blocks, raring to go, because Mourinho was going to be absolutely fuming to have given up that lead right before halftime. It's the worst time you can possibly concede. It's the worst time to surrender a lead. The best time for a side to get an equaliser, because we get the tails up, and they've got 15 minutes now to sit there getting an absolute bollocking, whereas we had the 15 minutes of Arteta, building us up, and the confidence that we got going in, having got that goal, having snatched that goal right at the end. We had our chance to build on that. So we were coming out. We were gonna be confident. Look, we got them. That was the moment that we needed. We got them right at the end, and I think that was when the cracks were starting to show. And I think Spurs knew it. And again, I think it was almost a case of, look, the game plan needs to be abandoned. We've got to try something else. We need to go at this team. We hadn't planned on it. We had planned on, soak up the pressure, because it's only Arsenal. All they can do is cross the ball into the box. They're not going to hurt us. Let them have the ball. Let them play their game. We'll hit them on the counter. And look, we got a goal out of nothing. Yeah, we'll do it again second half. But again, they couldn't do that. They had to resort to a plan B. And I think Mourinho panicked. I think he panicked, and he said, I'm not having this. Like, they've opened us up. They know how to expose us now, and I'm not having it. So you go out there, you go at them. It didn't work for them. It didn't work. Look, we kept our composure. We regained the ball. We calmed ourselves down, and as you said, Farhan, we had it was a different kind of maturity about our play and our performance up until the end of the game. And the end of the game is going to be different. But I think overall, as a performance, a good 70, maybe 75 minutes overall, I was very, very, very happy. Again, I would have liked us to be more clinical, but from what we were doing and creating, I was very, very happy. We were very dominant, to the point where I'm sure Gareth Bale has gone off then and saying to himself, I think it's time to go back to what I'm good at, which is playing golf. And he might be signing up for the PGA Tour that's coming up, because if he's going to play like that, the next time that guy might even get onto a golf course is when Kieran Tierney goes on holiday in the summer, because he might go play around the golf and take Gareth Bale out of his back pocket and let him have a round or two. But Gareth Bale was non-existent. Harry Kane for 80 minutes was non-existent. I actually, being honest, I actually had to look at the lineups at one stage and say, is Harry Kane on the pitch today? Is Harry Kane playing? All these guys that were being mentioned last night, all these names. Now, Lucas Moura was lively. Lucas Moura was causing issues. You could see he was sort of the one player on their side that I thought, this guy can make a difference. He kind of took the game by the scruff of the neck. He just, unfortunately for him, his teammates just weren't on it today. He was leaps and bounds above the rest, and he looked like the man that could potentially make something happen with his forward runs. So he's an awkward player, and as the game went on, you could see he was drawing our guys in. There was a couple of silly fouls. But yeah, look, I think Arteta has to get a lot of credit today. I think his game management, which is something that has been, it's been under a lot of scrutiny and it's coming in for a lot of criticism. And at times it's justified, but I think he got it spot on today for the most part. Again, I'm not saying this was a complete performance by any stretch, because, Arsenal did their very best to, be every bit Arsenal from about 80 minutes on. But no, I was happy. I was happy. Yeah, as I said about the first half, I honestly felt, even when a goal down, this is our game to dictate. If we want this bad enough, we will win this game. We got the goal right before half time, and I felt, we've got this. We stay clued in. We stay switched on. We come out for the second half fired up. We gave them their maybe 3-4 minutes after the half kicked off. Let them play about a small bit and said, right, lads, look, you've had your time now. It's time for us to get the ball back under control, establish our dominance, reassert ourselves. And there was kind of a calming kind of aura about our play. And it could be down to having Thomas Partey in there. But yeah, look, I want to give Granit Xhaka a lot of praise as well. But at the same time, I am going to revert back to Partey again. I think I keep saying this. You see a different Granit Xhaka when he's got somebody like Partey beside him, because it's like he's more relaxed and his decision making is an awful lot better. And you could feel, as a team, each and every individual out there was confident in the man next to them. I don't think there was anybody questioning anything out there today and saying, look, I need to make sure I cover the extra yard of space because, this guy isn't doing his job. We worked hard as a team. We were a unit. And again, look, I'll only kind of call it up as far as the 80th minute, and then maybe we'll probably talk about that later. But for, a large portion of that game, we were by far, we were the only team in that game. So yeah, look, sorry, I kind of go off on a ramble there. I know the question was like, how was I feeling like the first couple of minutes after the second half? But yeah, like I said, once we put the foot back on the gas, which is, it's a term that we usually say, taking the foot off the gas when it comes to Arsenal. But once we stepped up the gas, and in the second gear, you could see there was only one team that was dominant there today, and that was.
Yeah, look, I mean, it was a weird start to the second half, because Tottenham, you can tell they upped the intensity and they wanted to start playing football. It's as if Jose said to them, look, they're taking us for mugs. Go out there and start playing football. I know I told you lot to sit back and let them come at you, but they look far too superior. We look like a bunch of mugs. Go out there and play some football. And they tried, bless their heart. They tried to play football against us. And something that really impressed me about Arsenal today that I haven't seen in a very, very long time, not only were they able to deal with that type of intensity, and not only were they able to deal with the pressure that Tottenham were putting us under, because they were starting to move players forward. They started to approach the ball instead of wait around. But Arsenal still looked really good passing the ball around. Really silky, really nice, really agile. Even with Pepe coming on for Saka, he was still able to replicate what Saka was doing in that first half, and Saka was excellent as well. I just hope that he's okay, because I heard that he was limping at the end of the game. But look, as soon as Bale...
It's reported that apparently it's a slight hamstring strain. It might not be serious, but obviously until they don't get the medics to check it, we won't know.
Yeah. So I did read a tweet. Arteta, I don't know if Arteta mentioned it in the interview or not. I didn't watch the interview, but if it is a hamstring injury, that's something to worry about. We can only hope at this stage that it isn't anything serious. We're gonna need him so badly for the remainder of the season. But look, we can't really comment on anything that we're not too sure of. I'm sure we'll get more information tomorrow, or if Arteta, or as Arteta likes to put it, we're not sure yet. We need to give him a training session today, and then we'll know more about it. But the moment that Bale came off for Sissoko, for me, was the moment that Jose Mourinho abandoned his plan A and was going for his plan B. Tempo of the game slowed down, especially 5 minutes leading up before our goal. Souls, why don't you talk us through the penalty incident? Was it a penalty or not? Because I think for the majority of human beings with half a brain, it was clearly a penalty, but some people are questioning whether it should have been a penalty or not.
It's definitely not it definitely is a penalty, but I think that let Lacazette off on a big one, because he scuffed that shot so much. That was terrible from him. I do have to say, but that same instant led to the penalty. So it's one of those where you kind of forgive him, but you kind of have to think, come on, mate, you've got to get a better connection on the ball than that. I just think what happened was it bamboozled Davinson Sanchez. I don't think he realised what had just happened, because he was expecting Lacazette to connect with the ball, and that would have maybe not been a penalty if that had happened. But obviously, with the way that we can all talk hypotheticals, or if he connected with the ball, point is, Davinson Sanchez, at the point of contact, was nowhere near the ball. He had gone right into him and taken Lacazette out. That's a foul. That's a penalty by every definition. I don't understand the people, if they I've not come across someone personally, but that's doubting that that's a penalty. Everyone that I know, rivals alike, have all said that that's clear as day a penalty.
Yeah, it really was as clear as penalty, and Lacazette took it really, really well. It was a very well slotted penalty. I did doubt him a little bit after that completely missed shot that he had earlier on to win the penalty. I was hoping that he would put it in the back of the net and his confidence would be.
I was praying, mate. I was like, please, Lacazette, please, just do it for us.
He did look a little bit short of confidence in that game playing up front. And look, you can't really blame the guy, because, like I said, I mentioned this before, the Lacazette this season compared to last season are two different players, and Arteta's clearly using him in a completely different sort of system, and he's asking different attributes from him rather than last season where he was expected to score 20 plus goals. But Souls, tell me about the red card incident. I mean, Lamela, the prick, deserved it. I tweeted on the group chat, I really, really hope that Lamela gets a red card, because, I mean, credit to him. If you're a Spurs fan, that's probably what you want from your player. You want some passion, you want some desire from your player to give you some oomph. But the moment he got the red card, the tempo of the game completely changed. You wouldn't expect that. A team that's playing with 10 men, you would expect Arsenal to absolutely go for it and kill them off, try and get the third goal. Talk me through the red card and how that affected us psychologically.
I think the red card, what people need to understand, I'm not saying that the incident, that he got the red card for, you can argue whether that warranted a second yellow or not, but it's a series of events that led to that red card. It was him trying to put one on Xhaka, trying to put one on David Luiz, trying to put one on Tierney, and the referee constantly told him this, you need to calm down or you're gonna get sent off, and he kept saying it to him. He gave him a few chances, and I was like, how on earth is this man on the pitch still? And then when he did do that to Tierney, I think the referee just had enough and goes, you know what, forget it, I can't be asked anymore, and gave him the red. I think it's an accumulation of just giving him some warnings, because it is a North London derby at the end of the day. You do sometimes have to have a bit of leniency, but I feel like he just took the piss out of the ref. And at that point, I think the ref just got pissed and said, you know what? I can give you a red for this. I can give you that second yellow and a red card now without getting backlash from the general. Yes, Spurs will complain. Of course they will. Like we would complain if our player got a red card. But it is a red card. And he probably could have got sent off before that. But in terms of like when you're talking about the tempo and trying to kill off the game, I think that would have been a stupid thing to do, in my opinion, because Spurs have at that point nothing to lose because they're a man down anyway. If they just go for it and try and tie, should I say, that looks better for them, because a loss won't do them any good. A draw wouldn't do either team any good anyway, but it would still at least get the fan base being like, all right, you know what? In the run of play, man down, Son off early. A draw's not a bad result. That's what I think Spurs fans would have been like. But I think Arteta tried to micromanage the game very well. He saw that, okay, you know what? At this point, they're just going to think, we've got nothing to lose. Let's just go for it. And I feel like that's what he needed to. Because if we tried to go for it whilst they're attacking us, we could have let them score that second goal very easily. They could have scored it anyway, even when we took a defensive approach. So I think it was quite a smart move to do, because he read Mourinho very well, and he already knew what Mourinho wanted to do at that point, because he must have just told him, go for it now. If we lose 3-1, whatever, because we've got a man down. Son was off early. He would have had all the excuses anyway if it had gone 3-1. So to save his back and to kind of show the fan base that, he is trying to approach games better, Arteta's combat that and said, you know what, let's bring El Neni on. Let's try to shut up shop and be a bit more controlled within our defensive approach. But one thing I do want to say, stop giving away stupid free kicks. Like, I don't understand how many times you want to be having a heart attack as a player and as a fan. How many heart attacks do you want? Because they were getting very close. We're giving away stupid corners. Like the one where, Kane hit the post and Partey gave it away. It was so unnecessary. Just back off the player. Don't even attempt to. Because Kane was going to do nothing. The minute Kane plays that pass, go for that player, because you would have won the ball. But what we decided to do was give away these silly fouls. Sometimes it's a good thing, because certain teams, like ourselves, for example, we're quite poor with our set pieces in general. We do get a few where we do some dangerous stuff and have scored from them, but it's not enough to warrant a team saying, let's not give them a free kick. They'd rather give us a free kick because they know 1 of every 10 we're probably going to do something with. Whereas with Spurs, it's probably like every 7 of 10 they'll probably do something with. And that's what we've seen today. They were very good. And we got very lucky that Kane was offside, because it was marginally offside. And one chance he got, he scored. But obviously it was offside at the end of the day. But that could have very easily led to a goal and been given, not because if he held his line better. So there are a few criticism I did have, because I feel like the approach was good, but we needed to stop with these silly like free kicks and silly fouls, because they weren't even professional fouls. They were just stupid, way too close to the box. If you're going to do them, you do them near the halfway line or further away from your box, where they have to change their approach and you can actually counter from. Because where we were giving them away, it would have led to corners or goal kicks. So for me, none of that, player management made any sense. None of the players took lead and said, let's stop doing this, because genuinely they can fucking score from this. So that's my one criticism. But I don't criticize the approach, because I feel like that was the smart thing to do, because they were going to get a foothold attackingly on the game. So you have to prepare for that.
Yeah, I mean, look, the moment that they get the red card, you're thinking, right, we're going to manage this game perfectly. We're going to get the 3 points. We're going to get over this line. But with 15 minutes or so to go, it seemed as if the plan started to crumble. And this isn't something new. This isn't something that we're only seeing now from Arsenal. This is a constant. This is a theme that's been happening throughout the course of our season. Anthony, I can't seem to make sense of why they they get flustered so easily. With 13 minutes to go, Arteta makes the executive decision of bringing on Willian, taking off Emil Smith-Rowe. I think that's it's a bright idea. Kane hits the bar. His goal is gone offside. What are you thinking in those last 10 minutes? Did you think that we'd get over the line? Because I have to be honest with you, I did think they would nick us an equaliser in the end.
I agree 100%. Yeah, it felt as though it was just a matter of time. We invited and invited and invited. And as I've said time and time again, Arsenal, at times we're just too nice. We're the gift that keeps on giving. And we were looking pretty generous in those last 10, 15 minutes. I can understand to an extent. Now, look, I'm the one who's constantly saying, we're lacking the killer instinct. When we smell blood, we should go for the kill. And you would think that when a side goes down to 10 men, you're already 2-1 up. Now is the time to kill. Go for them, hit them now. I could sort of understand maybe Arteta saying, okay, maybe now is the time to maybe sit off a little bit because they're going to have a little bit less going forward. So I thought maybe he would look to just, again, make sure we've got a full hold in the game, get the possession, not necessarily go gung-ho, all-out attack, look for the third goal to kill them off. We used to see that a lot with Arsene Wenger. He would go for it, and then that's when we'd end up getting caught out. And especially against a counter-attacking side like Spurs. And look, whether or not their big players showed up today, while they remain on the pitch, those guys like Kane and Lucas Moura and that, they're always going to be a threat. Again, Harry Kane was a perfect example of that today because he was absolutely non-existent for a good 80-odd minutes. And then you've seen the chaos he caused in a couple of brief instances. Luck was on our side. Luck was definitely on our side in a few instances today. I'll quickly just kind of give a quick insight on my feeling on the penalty. I'm slightly devil's advocate on this one because, I understand it's a foul. It is a foul. Had it gone against us, I'd have been a little bit annoyed because the striker, being Lacazette, had completely fluffed his chance. And to me, the chance is gone. Now, he does get absolutely wiped out, but my feeling is, Sanchez wiped him out, but he'd already missed his opportunity to score. I kind of put it along the lines of, when a guy is attacking and he plays the ball too far ahead of himself in the box and it's going to go out of play anyway, and he's not keeping that ball in play and he gets taken out by the goalkeeper and they give a penalty, I'm a little bit kind of going, well, look, you didn't necessarily stop a goal scoring opportunity because the opportunity was gone. And I did initially feel a little bit that way with the Lacazette one. I'm absolutely not complaining that we did get it because, look, we've been on the back of a couple of horrible VAR decisions. So it is nice that we do get one in our favour. So I'm most definitely not gonna argue when we get it. And it's very, very welcome who it's come against as well. So that makes it even more sweeter again. With the red card, again, as Sol said, persistent fouling. What could the ref do? Persistent fouling. If it wasn't that instance, he was probably going to do something later on to get himself sent off. I think a few of their players were quite lucky. Højbjerg as well. Harry Kane leaving the shoulder in, like high shoulder to the face the whole time. They knew what they were doing. This was obviously something that they talked about as part of the setup. I guess it's a way of trying to disguise a foul because you're not making the foul with your feet and with your legs, which is, what we all expect to see. They're going in with this shoulder, and I guess they're going to argue, I tried to use my strength, shoulder to shoulder with the ball. But we could see what they were at. So look, he raised the arm. He caught Kieran Tierney, and look, Kieran Tierney was clever. He played it. He did. It's been a criticism I've had of Tierney in the past. No matter where on his body there's contact, he will go down holding his face. So I didn't really expect any difference. But look, teams are clever against us. So it's time that maybe we start being clever as well and managing the game that way. But look, Arsenal in the last last 10, 15 minutes, like, it's just Arsenal all over. Like, we just cannot get 90 minutes of just being switched on. And yeah, like I did say, I can understand why the game plan became what it was. The problem was the players. I don't know what happened. They just looked rattled. They looked absolutely rattled. I think they seen Spurs had decided, look, we've got nothing to lose here. We can sit back. We can allow you to play the ball around, and you're gonna be 2-1 up by 90 minutes. That doesn't suit us. We have to go for it. Spurs did what I would want Arsenal to do in that situation. Had we been a goal down, coming out to the last 10 minutes, I would have wanted us to just go for it. Because again, look, whether you lose 2-1 or 5-1, you've still lost. You still get the same amount of points, which is none. So they were right to do what they did. We were just sloppy. We tried to give them every opportunity to score. I counted, I think it was 3 misplaced passes in the space of 3 minutes, like completely handing it to them, playing the ball out for a corner. It was just so sloppy. And again, I feel like a record on repeat. It comes back to the leaders or lack of leaders on the field, the lack of organisation, the lack of guys that can pull a team together and say, look, you keep the head. And I listened to a piece by Lee Dixon the other night when he spoke about being in the changing room with some of the players he was playing with, and him being an outsider from I think he's Manchester, isn't it? He's from, but him being an outsider, and the guys like Tony Adams pulled him to the side for his first North London derby, and basically had him scared to the point where he was afraid to make a mistake because they had it drilled into him. Look, you're the outsider. You do not understand what this means for us. You need to keep concentration from start to finish. We just don't have those guys. If we need to get something in this team, we need to get these guys on the pitch that have that presence about them, where you're saying to yourself, forget about what Harry Kane is going to do to us if we switch off. You need to worry about what say Patrick Vieira is going to do to you when he gets you in the dressing room because you switched off. We need this. This is the frailty in our mindset that it just keeps popping back up, and it is going to cost us. It's going to cost us in the long run. Luck was on our side today with a couple of decisions, as I said. Another day, Harry Kane may have kept himself on side. Another day, when they smashed it off the post, it would have found the back of the net. We rode our luck a little bit in the end. Again, it comes down to this whole look. It should have only been a formality. They could have had their couple of minutes at the end. We could have been about 3 goals clear at that stage anyway. But look, Arsenal are Arsenal at the end of the day. They had me sweating. They did. They really had me sweating. And when I'd seen that Harry Kane goal go in, I absolutely lost it. Like, I didn't know whether I wanted to cry. I didn't know whether I wanted to put my foot through the TV. And then to the point where even though it was disallowed and I'd seen the decision was disallowed and I was still frozen, I was still in shock. I couldn't even be happy in that moment because I said to myself, I was like, that's not the last opportunity we're going to give up. And then we gave away, as Sul said, sloppy, stupid free kicks. And there's no worse side to do that against. Like Spurs are so clever. Like Harry Kane backing into players and going down. Like, they're masters at it. You don't need to give these guys an opportunity. They're gonna con the referee into giving decisions, and we saw that. And it was, I talk about not having fingernails. I don't think I have the top of my fingers. I bit down that far now. How I'm even going to type anything here tonight now, I don't know. But look, I'm relieved. I'm happy overall, but yeah, my God, am I relieved. But something has to give. Something has to give. Arteta, like I said, 75 minutes. I can't fault the guys, but we've always got that 10, 15 minutes in us. Arteta needs to come to some resolution here. My personal feeling, and I know, guys, you probably will agree, it's down to personnel. I don't think this is an issue of mentality or instruction coming from the coaching team or the manager. I don't think it is, because you know Arteta is not going to be happy. Yeah, he got his win today. He got his victory in the North London derby. He got his 3 points. He got one over Jose Mourinho. But you know Arteta is not going to be happy overall. He's going to be happy with moments, but he's not going to sit back and say, well done, lads. The first thing he's going to do, he's going to bring up those last couple of minutes. And I hope he does. I hope that, look, we're happy, we're celebrating. It's a good win, it's a positive result for us. But those mistakes and this lapse in concentration, it needs to be brought up. Arteta needs to sit them down, and I don't care if he brings them in and they do their video analysis. Just play that last 10, 15 minutes over and over and over again, and point out where you went to sleep, where you switched off, and why it cannot happen again. So look, I am happy, and we're always optimistic as much as we can be. But yeah, it's definitely a concern. It is definitely a concern. Could be a fitness issue. I don't think so. I think it's more so a mentality issue. We can't think that the game is finished just because we're winning with 10 minutes to go. We can't sit there and say, well, this is finished. And I think some of the players, not all of them, I think some of the players believed Spurs down to 10 men. Yeah, we'll ride this one out, and this will be okay. But yeah, look, it's got to change. We got out of jail today. We honestly did, which is unfair, because, as I said, had they pulled it back, it would have tainted the result, not just from a, because we were going to beat Spurs kind of perspective, but we were very, very good and we worked very, very hard. It would have been an absolute shame to have thrown it away for 10 minutes of falling asleep. But that's all it takes at this level.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was the last 10 minutes of the game. There was a moment where the camera panned over to Arteta, and all of those mistakes were happening. And Arteta was just drinking his bottle of water, and he was looking at his assistants thinking, here we go. These fuckers are going to start making mistakes, and they're going to ruin all the hard work. And I feel sorry for him, because you could tell that, he can't really do anything in that sort of situation from the sidelines other than encourage his team on. And I have to point out one player who I don't want to use the word disappointing, because I think the performance that he's put in so far this season has really got us out of jail way too many times than we can count. And he's transformed this team. But someone who underperformed a little bit, and I think the occasion almost got a bit too much for him, was Thomas Partey. I don't know if you guys realize, but ever since that ball went through his leg, and ever since we conceded that goal, he didn't look the same. He didn't look the same guy. In the last 10 minutes, he was giving passes away, trying to run through Tottenham shirts, losing the ball at his feet. I felt bad for him, because I could tell that he was panicking in that situation. And it wasn't just him. There was other players like Kieran Tierney, who we, scream praise of his name every single week. He even had a few dodgy touches. David Luiz at one point absolutely lost his shit, because he could have been blamed for losing a pass that was misplaced, not enough pace on it. And it's something we need to stop. And it brings me on to a question that was asked by Tom on Twitter at Wizard of Arse, who asked a question about game management. And he asks, I think he meant to say, is it something historically we have suffered for a long time, back to the Wenger era? Is it personnel? Is it experience? Is it a mindset? Is it not a problem? That it happens to all teams? Closing games out, dropping points when being dominant. This is a problem. We are very, very close to being amazing. Okay. And I say that with a lot of confidence. And I say that with confidence. I think Arsenal are nearing, not perfection, because to say perfection, you're talking about teams like Bayern Munich and Barcelona. I think we are very, very close to being amazing. I think we're very, very close to challenging teams like City and Liverpool. But it's what Tom mentioned there in that question. which is something that the boys are going to learn from. So, Souls, let me ask you, what is it? Is it something historically that we've been suffering? Is it a mentality problem? Is it experience? Is it mindset? Is it Arteta? What is it about Arsenal that we're unable to close games off and be dominant throughout 90 minutes?
It's 17 years in the making, is what I'm going to say. It's simply something which we've suffered for a long time, because I've always said, all of the mindset comes from the top to bottom. And unfortunately, for a very, very long time, we've had owners who don't care. I'm not going to say Wenger doesn't care, because it's not really true, but we've had a board that simply didn't care about the players. They've lacked ambition. And that kind of does transition through into the team. In many different ways. It could be like your bench players aren't good enough, the players, because our players that we can bring on that are good enough to change the game are all attacking. We don't really have defensive options on the bench. And I do say that with quite a lot of confidence in saying that, because I genuinely don't believe we have a squad. We have an 11, but we don't have a squad. And that's the big problem. We never have had that. Under Wenger, under Emery, and now under Arteta, we don't have enough options to bring off the bench that can change the mentality. And also, it stems from this leadership, lack of leadership. Tierney's a very good captain, don't get me wrong, but he's one of those who he knows how to pump himself up, but I don't know whether he knows how to get people fired up. I don't think he's that kind of leader. Thomas Partey is a very good individual, but he's not a leader. Lacazette, again, I do think there's aspects of him as well that I found very good today. How he was going up to the referees, and he was for the first time in a very long time, the referee didn't, tell him to go away, basically. And he was able to have conversations and ask questions of a referee without the threat of being booked, without the threat of potentially even being sent off for something he said, and that's what I thought was very good today. There was many opportunities where Tottenham could have been booked, and Lacazette and the referee has said, not yet, the next one, and Lacazette's questioned that and hasn't been done for dissent or anything. So the problem is, right, we have good leadership or parts of leadership across the pitch, but we don't have one that can do it all. And that's where the problem comes, is they're able to some players are doing it to themselves, but then they can't translate that to other players. So when the manager's trying to do it, you need someone on the pitch to then take that and then pass it on to the players as well. Whether that's instruction, whether that's words of encouragement, whether that's just simply telling the lads, look, this is where we're going wrong. You need that player on the pitch. And to be fair, there were things that Xhaka and Partey were doing today where they were commanding. They were like, yeah, you move here, you go there, and I'm going to make this pass. And that we are getting there as a team. But the problem is, it's 17 years, that we have to revert and we have to change. It's not going to happen in a season. We've seen it in periods. We've seen it maybe in one or two games, and then the one game will be like, oh, for fun, we're back to where we were again. And then we'll see it again. We've seen Benfica, Leicester, United. But the problem is we're not seeing it consistently. We're getting lapses of concentration. We're getting a lapse of mentality. And with time, I think, the one thing I am going to say about Arteta, right, he's got a very elite mindset. A very elite mindset. Like, to drop Aubameyang in a North London derby for whatever reason isn't an easy thing to do. We've seen managers, like we've seen Emery go because he was trying to discipline players. Arteta, look, Aubameyang is angry. We could see that, but even then, he never called the manager out. He never went on Twitter today. I've not seen, well, not so far anyway, to call the manager out. A lot of in the past, we would have seen that happen. They would have gone on Twitter and possibly said something, and ruined their potential career. But Aubameyang hasn't done that. So it goes to show that, Arteta has got the respect of the players. And with time, and with maybe a few more signings, because ultimately I think the board need to show the ambition, and the players' mindsets will automatically start changing. And I know that's a big ask, but let's say, for example, right, we go into this window and we show proper ambition. those players on the pitch will have no reason to now hide. We could go and get like a Basuma, for example. That sends a statement. We could go get a Tariq Lamptey. That sends a statement. We could go get like an Edouard or a, I don't know. There's rumors of Griezmann flying around. I don't think he really fits our system or the way or what we're looking for. But a very clinical striker, that sends a message to the Premier League that, look, we are now being serious. It's a little bit too late because we could have done this a couple of seasons ago and been ahead of schedule. But it's happened. If we can get that to happen, I'll be happy that it's happened. But it's a combination and a collective things of just top to bottom. It's been very toxic. We know what Raul Sanelli has done, that led to his departure. Sven Mislintat now coming out and questioning Arteta about Guendouzi and Torreira. Number one, Mislintat, let me tell you something. Torreira doesn't want to be here. You're backing a player that can't settle in. What's that got to do with Arteta? Number two, Guendouzi, have you seen his mentality? I'm all well and good, you backing your player that you wanted us to sign. But think about what you're saying and why you're calling these players out. I'm not saying that Guendouzi hasn't got a future as a player if his mentality becomes right, but it's not right. There's bigger players who have fallen far greater because of these sort of mentalities of, yes, I've made it. So, there are people calling Arteta out on certain things, and today as well, the biggest thing was Martinelli. Now, I don't know why he wasn't in that team. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and belittle Arteta for it or say I definitely agree. This is one thing I don't understand, why Martinelli isn't playing. And I've spoken to a few fans and have said, look, I don't think he's tactically disciplined. Martinelli is a brilliant footballer. He is by far one of the best talents we probably have at the club. But my problem with him is every time I've seen him play, he's not tactically disciplined. And that means a lot of things. That comes to mentality, that comes to understanding how to take instructions, and that's being disciplined with your positioning. Now, ESR, for example, he's one of those players who loves to press and be like a bulldog and a rash, right? But he knows when and how to press. And I think with Martinelli, what Arteta's trying to get him to do is not overexert himself. And I feel like that's what he's doing. So it's so many different little things that need to align. The ambition of Edu, for example, because Edu seems to be the guy who's going to do the transfers. Obviously, Arteta's role in the transfers is convincing players to come in. Like he did with Partey, gave him a phone call and said, look, this is my plan. This is what I want to do with Arsenal Football Club. And this is how you fit in. And Partey agreed. He goes, you know what? Actually, I like what you're doing. Odegaard, when he came in, he's openly said, I don't want to go back to Madrid. I love what's going on here. So this is why it baffles me when players are coming out, players of high quality, that, with no disrespect to Arsenal, but where we are currently, they deserve better. They should be playing for the likes of Real Madrid, your Barcelonas, your Bayern Munich, Champions League winning teams. But why have they opted to play for Arsenal? Especially Partey, who's probably got, let's say, 2 to 3 years on his career. Someone that's in the prime of his career. He's opted to go from Atletico Madrid to Arsenal. That, in a lot of people's opinions, right now anyway, in the current, situation, is a downstep. But because he believes in the plan that Arteta's put forward, he believes in what potentially even Edu and the board have planned. Now, COVID must have prevented a lot of that from happening. And I feel like that's why the mentality has gotten better. And I feel like we are fighting and showing a bit more passion. But, again, I have to reiterate, guys, it's 17 years. Try breaking a habit that you've had since childhood and tell me how you can break that within a week or not. Because it's impossible. It'll take you a few years. And it'll take you, I remember, when I used to bite my nails when I was a kid, my mum used to put this weird flipping, varnish or polish. It made your nails taste like absolute crap. That you'd never do it again. That's what you've got to do sometimes. You've got to, be what Arteta did today. He's non-negotiable. The thing is, people have said, non-negotiables, why is Xhaka playing when he's making mistakes? Now, the problem is, right, Xhaka's got a very tainted career, I think, at Arsenal, because he has a very good game, but he makes that one mistake, and that's what defines him. And I feel like that's why people don't understand why a Bellerin will play, why a Xhaka would play, why a David Luiz is playing, because they are instrumental to the way we play, especially when Partey's next to Xhaka. And even when Partey's there and David Luiz is in the team, we see a different level to everyone around because it alleviates the pressure. So once we get players like Partey and once we get that next level of players within those positions, you will automatically see us start to see out games. Look at Gabriel coming in, with his arrival, with the Cedric, and even when Pablo Mari's been in the team, we've been looking a lot better defensively. We've had one of the best defensive records we've had in a very long time. It's just we have lapses within games, or we have lapses where we'll have like a period of 4 games where we look like elite mentality, but then we'll have a game or two that kind of undoes that, and then we have to really build up again. And I think that's kind of why I think we've struggled so much in terms of closing games down and even closing halves down.
Yeah, I mean, if there's one positive that I take from this game is that we have Mikel Arteta. Ultimately, that's the conclusion. That's the only conclusion I draw.
You know what the other one is?
Yeah, go on.
We finally know what we need. And I say that with a grain of salt, because I think today gave us a lot of understanding of the team. We know we're lacking a goal scorer. We know, as good as Xhaka was today, we know that we're only going to get those performances maybe 2 or 3 in like 5 or 6 games. So we know we need an upgrade on him. We know we need a right back, and it's not me putting those players down in those positions, but it's given us an understanding that if we can get an absolute consistent player in those 3 positions, what we can do, because Xhaka was unbelievable today, and if we can get a player like that, but playing that 4 maybe out of 5 times, how good we'll be. And if we can get this sort of Cedric right back, right, and get a player who's that consistent and can do it game in, game out, how good we'll look. And then if we can finish that with an absolute lethal, ruthless, killer instinct striker, where we could be in the league.
Honestly, do you know what? Like, being an Arsenal fan is so frustrating. It takes the emotion out of you. It drains you. And, I'm a massive Arsenal. Arsenal are one of the most important things to my life. Growing up in Highbury, when back in the days, I wasn't able to afford to go to games. I wasn't able to afford to buy membership. So what I would do in Derby days, I would go down Holloway Road. I'd go to the nearest pub near the Emirates, watch the game. And if we win, I'd go to the stadium and I'd rejoice in with the fans. Arsenal Football Club means so much to me. It's ingrained in my DNA. And that for me is one of the biggest problems in my life, because it causes me a lot of strain, emotional strain and distress. But it's moments like these where we not only beat our rivals, we dominate our rivals, and we can see something unfolding. It's quite fitting that spring is around the corner, where flowers start to blossom, caterpillars start to turn into butterflies. I feel like Arsenal are becoming a beautiful butterfly with Arteta at the helm, Arteta at the head of this incredible transformation. He's doing something really, really wonderful. And the moment the fan base get behind him, the moment the club back him, we're yet to see the best. And I think Soles is right. We're 2 or 3 transfers away from, potentially challenging City and Liverpool. I say it?
I think the 2-3 is a good start, and I think they're the sort of crucial or key components that we need. Of course, there's other few bits and bobs, like strengthening our bench up a little bit and all of that. But to begin with, in the summer, I want those 3 positions at a minimum filled.
I mean, look, boys, I'm going to show you guys the league table now.
I was going to ask that, yeah.
Yeah, I want to talk about... Why am I putting myself on? I want to talk about the share screen. I'm still getting used to this. I want to talk about the league table, and I want to quickly talk... We're going to end it soon. I'm going to quickly talk about the league table and our upcoming fixtures. First of all, the league table. Me and Souls talked about this this earlier on, and I said that if we won the game, we would only be 4 points behind Tottenham and 2 points behind Liverpool. I mean, it's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to even fathom finishing above Liverpool, the reigning champions, right? Anthony, what is? I'm gonna ask the most absurd question, but we have to in times like this. What are the chances of finishing top 4? We've got a game in hand to Chelsea, who are in 4th place, 51 points. So they're 10 points ahead of us, but they've played a game more than us. So if we win our next game, hypothetically speaking, we're 7 points behind Chelsea on 4th. Talk to me. What's going on? Are we being overly ambitious?
Look, this is one of these performances that I think has us dreaming a little bit again. Which, look, there's no harm. It's only right that we're on a bit of a high at the moment. I did say, kind of regardless of how this one went, I still feel that if it was a case of maybe if we were in Chelsea's position currently, we would kind of be saying, look, it's in our hands. As long as we get our results, we'll get top 4. I think the problem we have is now we need everything to go our way. We not only have to be consistent, but we need a couple of sides up there to be inconsistent. So we're not just asking for Arsenal to perform and pick up the points. We're also asking for a couple of sides above us to lose and drop points. So I still think top 4 with 10 games left. It's not mathematically gone. I do still think we would be. I want to believe we can get top 4. I personally don't think. I think top 6 is going to be more realistic. Definitely more realistic. Again, I'm still on the fence as to whether we can get top 6. I need to see more consistency from us. I need to see us start stringing a couple of results together back to back. I mean, like, if you look at that there, a win, a draw, a win, a loss, and a win, it's not good enough. It's not good enough to really push, the way we want to push. Okay, look, you can look at Chelsea. They've 3 draws there as well, but I just think top 4 might be just a little bit out of our reach at the moment. If we can get top 6, all things considered, with how the season has gone, I mean, at one point people were writing us off as relegation candidates. If we can manage a top 6, I think we will probably have surpassed expectation. And I think top 6 would definitely be a huge positive. Not only would we have finished above, our 8th place last season, but definitely it would have to be a sign of progress. We can see the signs. Not everybody can, but a lot of us can see the signs. A lot of people are judging, Arteta's progression on where his side finishes in the league table. It's a funny old season. I think this is going to be one of the craziest seasons in memory, for many, many reasons, with the whole COVID and all that stuff going on. I don't think that table is a true reflection on where everybody is. I mean, look, you've West Ham punching well above their weight. You have Liverpool punching well below their weight. Aston Villa are surpassing expectation. Arsenal have dropped off. At the moment, looking at that table, we have, Everton are doing well. Yeah, look, I'm gonna say
before you say anything, let me show you our last 10 games. Okay, because this will be interesting. It'll be interesting to see actually, where the points could potentially come from, and well, that's basically it. I'm just trying to get the page up whilst mumbling on. So can you guys see that? Yeah. So we've got Olympiacos next, obviously, and then let's talk about very briefly, because we're going to end it soon. I know you guys have lives as well. Let's briefly touch on the next 5 league games. Okay, so you've got West Ham away, Liverpool at home, Sheffield United away, Fulham at home, and then Everton at home. Anthony, maximum points potentially out of those games?
Oh, I mean, like there's some very tough fixtures in there, and
The
you know
next
what
two,
it
West
is,
Ham and
right?
Liverpool. Yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, what it is we seem to be pulling the results out of the bag that we're not necessarily expecting. You know, we weren't expecting the win against Chelsea. Again, look, I know we're all confident because you know it's a bit of bravado on that, you know, because it's against Spurs and that. But I'd say realistically, a lot of people weren't expecting 3 points there today.
Mm-hmm.
And then even the likes of Leeds, you know, we were expecting that team's going to come at us and score a shed load of goals, but it was the other way around. But then you have games like Burnley where we're dropping points. You have Wolves, we're dropping points. Aston Villa, we're dropping points. We're just so inconsistent. Like I'm looking at that and I'm saying, if we show up with the right attitude, as I keep saying, you know, there's absolutely no reason why we cannot beat West Ham. Absolutely no reason why we can't beat them. Same goes for Liverpool. The way Liverpool have been this season, why not? You know, we beat Chelsea. You know, Man United couldn't beat us. We beat Spurs today. Why not? You know, again, Sheffield United, Fulham should be beaten. Everton again. Why not? I on our day, I could see us getting a result against any of those sides. I just haven't seen enough consistency to hand on heart say I'm 100% confident of picking up maximum points. So 5 games, I am going to say I might do it one by one. I'm going to say, okay, we're going to come off the back of Olympiacos, I think, with a win, and I think we're going to be on a bit of a high. I think we're going to beat West Ham. I think we're
Okay.
Oh god, it's actually
sorry, mate. Basically, what happened? My screen just froze. So I missed 10 seconds of what you said, but you carry on.
Okay. Oh, don't worry. I'm only waffling. You're not really missing much anyway. Complete waffle. Yeah, look, I'm going to say we're going to beat West Ham. We're going to draw with Liverpool. We're going to beat Fulham. We're going to beat Sheffield United, and I think we're going to draw with Everton. I don't think we're going to lose any of those games.
Historically speaking, Arsenal usually end their season better than we started. And I think it must that we very much do the same this season. Why have I gone into Arsenal versus Fulham? I want to show Souls now the final 5 games of the season, and the Europa League is going to play a massive part in squad rotation, etc., etc. But Souls, look at the last 5 games for me. You've got Newcastle away, West Brom at home, Chelsea, Crystal Palace away, and Brighton at home.
You know what? They're all very winnable games. We should be, obviously, the likes of Newcastle and Brighton, for example, we should definitely be beating, especially at home. Now, the only negative I can think of is that they're battling for survival. So they are going to be really, really up for these games, especially Newcastle and Brighton, if sort of their season goes the way it is currently. Obviously, West Brom are still in a shout to stay. So they're going to be tough games because of the fact they're fighting for not to be relegated. Chelsea we've beaten, and we tend to do well against Chelsea, even at Stamford Bridge. They're usually tight games where you can possibly look for a draw or nick a win. We have gotten the best of them at times because we've had a man down and still drawn a game. Crystal Palace have been very up and down this season. They've been a yo-yo this season in terms of just their form. They look good and then they just go on a run of terrible form. So yeah, I think when you look at the overall 10 games, you know what? It's all down to the players really, because we've got teams. If we beat them, we're now crawling up that table because we've got Everton, we've got Chelsea, we've got West Ham. Obviously next week we've got Liverpool, who are very all these teams are very close to us. If we beat them and get the 3 points, and obviously they gain no points from that, we're now starting to close the gap. I'm not saying that that's good enough for top 4, but top 6 is definitely in the question if we go and beat West Ham, for example. That'll show real ambition that we're now looking to be consistent. And then if we can beat West Ham and Liverpool, that changes a lot because they're two very close competitors to us getting a top 6 or even potentially a top 4 finish. And then the rest of them, to be honest with you, even the likes of Everton can be gotten at this season. They're not showing the best of form. They've dropped points. I think it was Burnley, getting beat 2-1. So they're dropping points as well. Leicester have got City next. They'll drop points against City, in my opinion. So it's still there to grab. The league is still very much so wide open. But like Anthony said, are we consistent enough? And are we going to show that consistency? That's the key. And if we can do that, we can get top 4 or even top 6 finish.
It's going to be a very, very interesting conclusion. And I'm itching to find out what happens on the last game of the season. But obviously, that's a little way away. We next go to Olympia because I'm not going to start babbling on about them because it's already 1 hour, 45 minutes. So I'm going to leave that for another day. Look, guys, thank you very, very much for joining me. I know it's been a long episode, but I appreciate you coming on here and sharing your opinions and your expertise, your knowledge, your wisdom. It's been a real pleasure. 2 of my favorite Gooners in the whole entire world. You can find Anthony on YouTube and Twitter, Republic of Arsenal. That's at Rep of Arsenal on YouTube, and the Republic of Arsenal. No, sorry, at Rep of Arsenal on Twitter and Republic of Arsenal on YouTube. Anthony, thank you very, very much for coming on, mate. You can also find Gooner Souls on YouTube. That's Souls. Souls, have you hit 100 subscribers?
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so he say 100. I
think he completely cut out for me. So I don't know.
Yeah, literally, I cut out for a minute. Can you? Hello, can you guys hear me?
Now we can.
Hello.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you
Okay.
now.
Sorry, I'm literally just about to. Please stay with me. All right. So yes, subscribe to Souls. Subscribe to Souls. He's nearing to 100 subscribers. It will be amazing to reach that milestone. He really deserves it. He's an amazing co-host. He's an amazing guest. He's an amazing all-round person to have a chat with. And he's an Arsenal fan, which makes it even better. So Souls, thanks a lot for coming on. You can find him on Twitter at Let's Debate Footy. Boys, I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much. Until next time, up the Arsenal. Bye-bye.
You just like the.
Oh, wait, I thought we're still live.
Oh, are we? Is it still live? Has he ended?
I don't know if he forgot or if he's gone.
Just in case we are still live, we're experiencing technical difficulties.
Yep. I mean,
Yeah,
it's still